Everybody, this is Frank from Musto Wine Grape.
And Maureen from Musto Wine Grape.
Today we're going to talk to you about blending of wines. So I'm a big blending guy. Every fall I'll make 4 or 5 different reds, and I will make them individually, and I'll do some blending later on.
I also think that blending, not only does it amplify the characters that you're looking for in a single varietal by sometimes adding small amounts of another, but it really showcases some of the winemaker's talent and favorable palate attributes that they're looking for in wines by blending in some unique things for flavor, color, and mouthfeel.
So a little bit on timing. If you make your 4 or 5 different varietals in the fall, September, October, usually by the first of the year, you're done, you're racked, and I start to blend wines once I feel they're clean and they're racked. So after maybe 2 rackings, I also put my wine in barrels, so I like to blend before I hit the barrel. So we're gonna act today as though we have a Cabernet and a Merlot. So we would literally go to the tank and fill a bottle of each, and we would normally have a glass of Cab here and a glass of Merlot here, and we start with 3 blends in the middle. I would normally like to do this. I would put we do a 100 milliliter sample, so we have some little test tubes here, where you put a 50-50 in the middle of each. I would do a 75-25 Cab to Merlot, and on this end, 75 Merlot to 25 Cab. Give them a swirl, give them a try, and see what you think.
Absolutely. It's also very important before you start your blending to make sure the individual varietals are in the best shape they can actually be for blending. This means make sure the aromas are really clean, make sure that the flavors are where you want them to be for that specific varietal. You can never take a wine that is mediocre, maybe with a little funny aromas, and blend in a great wine. Sadly, those really nice aromas in the second wine will be taken over by the negative aromas that you perceived in the first wine. It's really important that you're blending 2 very healthy and good condition wines before you get going.
That's true. And another good reason for blending is if you make one of your wines and it came out light in color. So it says, say you have a Cabernet that came out light, you could add some darker Petit Syrah to that to give it color, but be careful, besides the color, you're also affecting the flavor of the wine too. And something like a Petit Syrah can take over very easily. So getting back to this tasting, if we decide that these 2 are our favorites, and we're not sure which one we want, we might do a 60-40 blend. Now once we're done with that, we do that blend, I would make that blend in a 375 bottle, we put it away for a couple days, let it just kind of settle to itself, and then Maureen and I would taste it, try it. If we like it, then we go after the big batch. So never blend the big batches unless you do a bench test. And again, if you're making enough wine, make them individual batches so you can blend later on. Talk a little bit about the field blending.
Sometimes some customers may ask, well, if I want to make a blend, do I just buy a bunch of different crates of grapes and throw them all in the crusher each time we're together? The answer is sometimes. This really is the best way to blend as far as the end resulting product and having greater finite control over the flavors and different nuances of your final wine. But sometimes you can do what I call corrective blending at crush. So if you're a veteran Sangiovese maker, for example, and you're on your 3rd or 4th vintage of Sangiovese, and in prior years you've had maybe a little lightness of color that you'd like to correct on this vintage. If you typically buy 10 crates of Sangiovese to give you about 25 gallons of wine, I may suggest you to only buy 9 and buy 1 crate of Petit Verdot or Petit Syrah. Both of these varietals are incredibly dark in color and will naturally compensate where the Sangiovese may lack in color curing. So when you crush them, mix them all in together, ferment together. It's quite easy, just like you would normally make a red wine, and that Petit Verdot or Petit Syrah will give you the added color kick that you may be looking for that you've been missing in previous vintages.